The following reading contains content that may or may not be suitable for younger listeners. Viewer discretion is advised. Griffin the Griffin by BlackWing. Chapter 2. Can I get the number of that bus? Ow. Feeling my body, it was pain. What happened? Punks on a bridge, neck cafe, weird old man with no distinguishable traits, passed out. Okay, time to wake up. Move arm? Check. Move leg? Weird, but check. Now open eyes. I said open eyes. Come on, work.
Oh, hey, you're waking up. About time. I was getting tired waiting for you.
Hey, wait a minute. I know that voice. I feel like I got hit by a car. Really want my eyes to open now.
No, you didn't get hit by a cart. You're just an idiot who passed out in the Badlands.
Where have I heard that voice before? Finally got them to work. When I do eventually open my eyes, I find an eagle looking back at me. A big eagle. Holy crap! I jumped and fell out of bed.
Smooth move, moron.
Taking a closer look, I saw it wasn't an eagle, it was a griffin. Now I know where I heard that voice from. Of all the people, or ponies, or whatever that I could have run into, it had to be frickin' Gilda. I cracked my neck. Yeah, I got a bad habit, so sue me. Then my back, then my knuckles. Looking at myself, I didn't have hands. I had claws. Still satisfying enough to crack them, though. Gilda shuddered. Apparently I found her pet peeve. Mine is nails on chalkboard. Wait a minute. Loading, loading, loading. Done. Claws! Why the hell do I have claws? I kind of expected to have hooves, and at the same time I didn't expect any of this to be happening at all. I put my claw on my head, then slowly turned myself over, and got up. I turned to look at myself. I had wings, feathers. I also had fur, and my feet were now paws, and I had a lion's tail. So I guess I'm a griffin too. Well, at least I'm not a donkey. Hey, this isn't all bad. I'm digging the claws. Wings are also awesome in my book. I felt stiff, so I stretched. Since I wasn't used to having wings, it took me a while to figure out how to use them. I tried moving my shoulders, arms, legs, and tensioning the various muscles until I found some I weren't used to. Bingo. I flapped them experimentally and flared them out, then tucked them to my side neatly, enjoying the warm, fluffy, fuzzy feeling the feet gave my skin. I'm fluffy. I'll have to thank that guy if I ever see him again. I was taking being thrown into a new world rather well. If I'm really here, awesome. If I'm dreaming, don't wake me. And if I'm crazy, I don't want to be sane. Then I noticed Gilda was looking at me strangely. Right, checking myself out. Not strange behavior at all. Sarcasm.
Are you feeling okay?
She asked. So Gilda does care about others. I better not let in that I know anything. Don't need to go breaking the fourth wall. Let's go with amnesia. Where am I? I asked.
Are you serious?
She asked back. If I knew where I was, I wouldn't be asking you, whoever you are. Time for the duel of sarcastic remarks.
I'm Gilda, and you better remember it. You're on the Tailfeather Mountain Range, in a little mudhole village on the edge of the Dominion Equestrian border,
she replied. Dominion? Equestria? I know what Equestria is, but I haven't got a clue about the Dominion, and I was playing ignorant.
Come on, are you really that dumb? Who are you anyways?
She asked, getting slightly annoyed. Griffin.
Yeah, I know you're a griffin. I asked who, not what.
She was getting mad. Griffin.
Your name, dummy!
She was almost yelling. All I can remember is my name is Griffin. I guess my parents were unimaginative or something. I had just realized the irony of the situation. I'm a griffin named Griffin. I had to make up a quick excuse.
All you can remember? Amnesia, huh? Yeah, your parents would have to be pretty stupid if that's all they can come up with.
I didn't mind her mocking my parents. Personally, I thought they were dumb too. Do you have a, I stumbled trying to find the right words on purpose to sell my story. I may never be accused of being a clever bastard. A map! Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, what's it to ya?
Gilda said in her normal bitchy tone. Because I want to find out where the hell I am.
Huh, good enough.
She pulled out a scroll. I had already gotten used to walking on all fours. I've been beat up enough to be forced to crawl, and this was actually easier since I wasn't in severe pain and my legs bent the right way for it. I walked over and took a look. It was a world map. In the northeast, there was a range of mountains labeled Dominion surrounded by valleys. In the middle was the largest area labeled Equestria. North center was labeled Gemfido, which I guess was Diamond Dog area. To the northwest was simply called Dragon Badlands. Center east was an ocean, and center west was the same ocean. I guessed it stretched all the way around the planet. Southwest was labeled volcanic wastes, and it didn't sound too hospitable. Center South was labeled feline jungle. I assume some sort of cats lived there, well away from the dogs. And Southeast was labeled Black Marsh, like in the Elder Scrolls. No, I'm just being stupid. I looked for the Tailfeather Mountain Range. It was on the southern border of the Dominion, fairly near the eastern edge of the map. If she found me in the Badlands, that meant that this was a complete world map. It wrapped all the way around. Sure, the mountains were near the border, but not that close. How did I get here? It was an important question.
Like I said, you passed down the Badlands here.
She pointed to a spot on the map.
I found you unconscious, so I brought you around to here.
She pointed to the northernmost mountain on the peak.
Seriously, what were you doing there? Being in the Badlands is dangerous. You make a quick snack for a hungry dragon.
Gilda was all heart. I was about to say I thought dragons only ate gems, but then I remembered that Spike had hay fries once. Good thing, too, because that would have blown my story. So you carried me all the way here. Gilda started blushing.
Yeah, big deal. And before you ask, I was there because I can handle myself, and I wanted to be alone. As for why, none of your business.
Rainbow Dash. She's probably sore about the whole incident and is beating herself up over it. Better let it go. I don't want to go opening any old wounds. I look at the map again and found Ponyville. I figured I want to go there eventually, but as for right now, there was no hurry. I'd get there soon enough. Besides, it was on the southern half of Equestria. I'd have to cross half the continent to get there. Wow, stomach. Nice timing. I laughed weakly at Gilda. So, what's for eats? I asked.
That depends. Do you remember how to fly?
She had a habit of answering questions with more questions. Now that I think about it, our personalities are pretty similar. Nope, but I'll figure it out on the way. I may be an idiot, but I'm by no means stupid. Let her chew on that one for a while. She just laughed. Well, let's get going. Looking around, I saw that I was actually in a cave. Either griffins built their nests in caves, which is entirely possible, or the village was actually below us. Well, since this is pretty much a cliff, time to see if I can fly. I jumped out of the cave and figured my griffin brain would take over and let me fly. It didn't.
You dummy!
Gilda shrieked as she dove after me, intending on catching me before I killed myself. I tumbled down the cliff a bit, keeping my limbs tucked in to avoid breaking them before I landed on a dead tree breaking it. It started moving down the mountain. The steep slope was not all rocky and full of pits and boulders, but rather smooth stone, almost like pavement. How that was possible? Well, this is a cartoon. I guess they never animated the mountain details except for in Dragonshy. Or is it? Maybe it's the real world that we just peek into on occasion. You know what? I'm not going into that. I'm not going to break the broken remains of the fourth wall. Anyways, I was still on top of the log, wrapping my arms around it desperately, now careening down the mountain. I just so happened to be an amateur skateboarder. I'm good enough to go down a steep slope without falling off, and a log was much sturdier than a skateboard, a bit more bumpy. I stood on it sideways bipedal style and ripped off some of the bark. I dug into the wood with my front claws for more stability, one in front and one behind. Now I could actually steer this death trap. Woohoo! I yelled experimentally using my new wings for balance. That made it much easier in all aspects, and also slowed me down quite a bit as I flared them out. Gilda flew down beside me and looked at me like I was nuts.
Well, that's gotta be the dumbest way to go down a mountain,
she told me once we reached the bottom. After being thrown off, I slammed my face into the dirt and was still picking myself up when she landed. Okay, legs, check. Arms, check. Wings, check. Face, ow! Nothing broken though. I guess I really do have a hard head. Yeah, but if you can't fly, it beats getting pummeled by rocks, I said, lifting a log I rode and coughing up some dirt that I swallowed, showing its underside. It had been worn over halfway through grinding on the mountain's face.
Fair enough,
she smiled. We climbed down the rest of the mountain and found ourselves in a forested area. Gilda kept looking at me smiling, or what I thought was a smile. It's hard to tell with just a beak. No way, is she falling for me? I wondered. Is just Gilda mean, or are all griffins? If that's the case, I'll both fit in perfectly, and am probably the nicest griffin she's ever met.
Hey, dummy, over here,
she interrupted my thoughts. I didn't care that she was calling me dummy instead of griffin. Honestly, it's not the worst thing I've been called.
See that deer?
She whispered.
Let's catch it.
Let me guess, you're going to fly overhead and I'm going to chase it on foot, driving out in the open. I whispered as well.
You catch on pretty quick for a moron, she teased.
As I said before, I may be an idiot, but I'm by no means stupid. Just look how well I went down that mountain like a pro after Plan A failed. She laughed again and backed away, flying up as to not scare the grazing deer. I looked up as she signaled that there was an open field about 20 meters to the east. Since I was facing north, I had to circle around stealthily to the west. I pulled it off. Another thing you learn when everybody hates you is how to avoid being seen. Avoiding bullies, running from bullies, fighting bullies. Yeah, that was my life. So, not only was I good at hiding, I was fast, a quick thinker, and I knew all the weak spots. Not a bad skill set when you're trying to survive. I signaled to get ready as she started circling like the bird of prey she was. I crouched down like a cat about to pounce and moved in closer to the deer till I was directly behind it. I got closer still, and it still didn't see me. I got even closer. Still didn't see me. I took another step and stepped on a branch. Crack. Damn it. The deer looked up. I stayed perfectly still. It didn't see me, but it knew it wasn't alone. It looked around and then slowly started to move. I pounced. The chase was on. It headed east just as planned. Gilda was flying overhead. She was fairly fast and had no trouble keeping up. I was running about as fast as the deer. At first, it began to pull away as I hadn't yet figured out how to gallop, although it came pretty quickly when my instincts kicked in. Oh sure, now my griffin brain decides to work. Where were you when I jumped off the cliff? The deer would quickly dart around pieces of brush and undergrowth while I would just bash through them, not bothering with trying to go around. I watched how it moved and used that to plan my course around trees and other more solid objects. I was keeping up with it quite well. Suddenly, something changed. Everything seemed to slow down. I felt strong. I didn't even feel the pain of the brushes hitting me. It was a feeling I knew all too well. A feeling that I felt often when dealing with those worthless punks at school. A feeling I loved. Adrenaline. We approached the clearing, but sensing the trap, the deer suddenly darted off to the left and I followed in pursuit. It changed directions. That meant while I was heading directly for it, it was not heading directly away from me. I closed in and jumped, knocking it over and pinning it to the ground. I held its head down with my left claw and its body with my right. It was trapped, completely overpowered. It looked at me with begging eyes, pleading not to kill it. I drove my beak into its neck, at the base of the skull, just behind the ears, killing it instantly. I had never killed an animal before. The closest I had ever come was shooting a bow at a foam deer target. Although my eyes were bad and I needed glasses, it was an excellent shot, even better than my former friend who had been doing it for years, but stopped after said friend abandoned me just like everyone else. Still, I was a natural. As a griffin, I didn't have my poor human eyesight. In fact, since I was at least part bird of prey, I could see better than any human could. I could instantly focus on anything, no matter how small, between on the end of my beak to over a mile away. It was frickin' awesome not having to strain my eyes. Gilda flew down and was looking rather impressed.
Hey, nice catch. You killed it already? Seems like you at least remember that. Doesn't look like you carved the pelt up any.
She was rather happy that I killed it, but at the same time seemed a little annoyed that she didn't get to. I felt really good about the whole hunter instinct thing. Odds are, she did too. Yeah, the weakest part on a non-armored body for a lethal strike is behind the ear, base of the skull. It's designed for movement, not protection. Severing the jugular or carotid artery is messy. The bone protecting the spinal cord has a gap, meaning that the brainstem is unprotected. A single puncture will instantly kill, and sufficient blood trauma will paralyze, possibly permanently. She seemed rather impressed by my knowledge.
How do you know that? You sound almost like a doctor.
Crap, she's got me think fast. I don't know, I just know. It makes sense to me. Maybe I was a doctor or something before I lost my memory. Truth was, I was studying anatomy in school, hoping to get a job in the medical field. They didn't teach that, though. I figured it out all on my own. So technically it wasn't a lie? I don't really like lying, but at the same time, I'm not just going to tell her that I'm from another dimension. I have to stick with my story.
You have to be the strangest thing I've ever seen, griffin, pony, or other.
She was getting genuinely interested in me and losing her sarcasm. She still wasn't calling me by name. I guess it's awkward. It's like walking up to a guy and saying, "Hi, human." If a guy's name was Hubert Man, that would be really weird. Yep, I'm not your ordinary rebel. I'm grade A freak. We both laughed at that.
Alright, let's cook the sucker. I'm starved.